platforms and commanders. In reducing sensor to shooter time. Before I move on to the future of multi and swarm and collaborative air ops, I will briefly cover the Meher Baba competition. Next slide, please. This was conducted by the IAF between 2018 to 2021 in 4 phases. 20 teams were finally selected for phase 2, that is the flying and technological evaluation, in which 10 drones in a swarm were to be flown in a GPS-enabled environment for a distance of 5 kilometers each way, carrying a 1 kg payload, and utilize AI to identify moving and static survivors for search and rescue operations. Next slide. The final phase, the phase 3, was flown both during day and night, and in a GPS-enabled and denied environment by the swarm drones. At the end of the competition, technology has been proven with multiple indigenous alternatives available within the country. Next slide, please. A busy slide shows the future of collaborative air operations. It shows the manned aircraft in N, top corner below the satellites, the networking between the unmanned decoys, UCAVs, the high altitude pseudo satellites marked in F, the satellite itself marked in M, and all these working together to achieve the mission of targeting and target destruction. Next slide, please. So what is the need for tomorrow? There is a need to create teaming concepts that will maximize the strengths of both the CCAV, that is the collaborative combat aerial vehicles, and piloted aircrafts. There is a need to include the operators in the development of these CCAVs to ensure that the operator understands how they operate and will perform in battle space during conflicts. The war fighters themselves, that is we in the defense forces, must be able to depend on their autonomy provided and have assured control over this autonomy during conflicts and highly dynamic operations. Most important thing, during manned-unmanned teaming, the human workload is not to increase significantly. We have to find solutions so that the human workload remains within capability of the manned platforms. The defense forces themselves need to develop operational concepts of employment and tactics, techniques and procedures to exploit manned-unmanned team strengths. Lastly, but not the least, is to build mastery through continual training and testing. Next slide, please. I just listed some of the manned-unmanned teaming and collaborative air vehicles under development across the globe from varied nations, starting from Turkey, US, EU, and lastly, but not the least, India itself. Next, please. I will leave you with the last quote. How the CCAVs will collaboratively interact and operate with humans must be weighed, trained, and built into their hardware and algorithm designs from the very beginning. They cannot be formed as an afterthought. Warfighters must be involved in their creation and iterative development. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bhatia. I request Commodore Ajit, who is from VESI, which is a very unique organization of Indian Navy, to put across his views.
Upper directory. Yeah, the one in the corner.
The scope of my presentation I had actually prepared covering evolution of autonomous vehicles, design, next slide. Design criteria, rise of autonomous vehicle, AVs in defense, roadmap of the Indian Navy, and some challenges. Next. Basically, the autonomous vehicle started from the origin in science fiction, which we all would have read in our comics. In World War II, remote control vehicles